Welcome to Life Esteem, a program committed to deliver information that's important to you and your community. Your hosts are Nathaniel and Patricia Gadsden.
Hello and welcome to Life Esteem. So sorry, my name is Nathaniel Gadsden, of course, and of course my partner's not here. Pat's not at this particular one, but we do have two dynamic guests. Kristin Buss, who is the director of the PACT program, and also Carmen Harris, who is the outreach coordinator for the PACT program. And we're going to find out all about the PACT program. How you doing?
Good morning.
All right, good morning. Always seems strange when Pat's not here to help me do my job. So tell us about the PACT. What does PACT stand for, by the way, Kristin?
PACT stands for Parents and Children Together, and we call it that mainly because of the acronym PACT, because it really represents a place where we as researchers and community members can learn about children and families.
Okay, fantastic. And I know this lady knows about children and families. I've seen her everywhere. Carmen Harris.
Yes,
we've gone to some trainings together.
Yes, we have.
And you're outreach coordinator?
Yes, I do outreach for PACT, and it's good because I'm here in the community, and PACT, all of our researchers are stationed there in State College, so that's good to have someone local in the community that can facilitate and talk with a lot of the people in the community.
Fantastic. So Kristin, tell us about the program and why our listening audience, or viewing audience I should say, should be really interested and excited about what the work you're doing.
Sure. So I'm a developmental psychologist, and at Penn State University Park there's a number of people who really are interested in understanding how children develop in the context of families in different communities, etc. And several years ago, we were really interested in starting a project in Harrisburg, and we met with a few roadblocks along the way, and mainly those roadblocks were around distrust of what research was. Why should we, as a person who lives in Harrisburg, be involved in a research project from somebody who's coming from Penn State University Park? What do you want to know? Why do you want to study us? What are we going to get out of the deal? And there's been some historic problems with research, Tuskegee being probably one of the most
took the words out of my mouth.
Right. And we heard about this, and it really struck me how salient that still is, especially in the African American community. And it took me a few conversations with people, and I think we even communicated really early on about how important it was to understand where families and communities are coming from before we ask people to be involved in the research. And so I took a step in the direction of doing more community-based research, and that's how PACT was sort of born, if you will, was to start to meet with community members, start to meet with community leaders to understand what the community could bring to the research picture and what we could give back. And so it's sort of a two-way street rather than researchers deciding what the study should be, getting participants, doing the study, and then leaving. We wanted to be able to do something a lot more meaningful.
Okay, so of course that makes your job real kind of interesting there, Carmen. Tell us about the work.
It definitely is. Well, what it is we're trying to change the whole conception of what people think research is. And really, even though it is research, but it's not, people think of research as picking and prodding and poking, and it's not that. We let people know it's not invasive. We want to talk with you. We want to, hear your conversation, your story, and that's one of the main reasons why we have our community advisory board, which is made up of community members in the community, that you see every day, Boys and Girls Club, the YWCA, YMCA, Hamilton Health Center, people like and key community members like MLK Baptist Church, things like, community members that are there, so they're vested. So then we talk with them and they say, this is what we think the communities are interested in, and this will be a good thing to do. So when we talk with them, they're key players involving how we go out and to disseminate information into the community. And I think it's good because I am from the community. I'm here. I was raised here, so I know. And I think you put they put it like, okay, I know her. I see her around. So I think that makes it work.
Fantastic. We have a program coming up on December the 6th. I want you to write that down because we'd love to have you there. It's the Kwanzaa program.
Oh, yes.
And this year's program is all about health and all that kind of stuff. And this is very important work that you're doing. So we'd love to have you come in. However, we can make that happen and, do outreach or present something.
Absolutely.
So let's talk more about that. And that, of course, will be at HAC, Harrisburg Area Community College, on December the 6th. It's always a free open program, and mark that down. Let's talk about parenting in general these days. We all say, right? There's a lot going on.
Right.
And we're really concerned about young parents,
Yes.
about the the lack of effective parenting in some instances. There's so many more homes that are split these days.
Right.
People are divorced and this and that. We have more blended families.
Yes.
We have people who are working and children who unfortunately are raising themselves. There's all kinds of stuff going on, but there's always hope, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the PACT program represents that hope. Tell us about the kind of research you're looking for then to strengthen families in such a way
Sure.
that will benefit them.
Sure. Well, we have a variety of programs. Some are explicitly focused on parenting. So one is the CARE program that Dr. Susan Woodhouse runs, and I'm involved in as well. And she's really interested in understanding how it is that mothers and infants can still form a very secure attachment relationship, which we know has benefits, lifelong benefits, if there's that security, despite having some of these challenges, right?
Sure.
So whether it's being a teen mother, being in a chaotic home, being in a neighborhood that's not quite safe, how is it that mothers and babies are able to maintain those relationships, and what leads to those relationships? In research, in the developmental psychology literature, we used to think we knew, but most of that research was based on white middle class families, families that were intact, families where there wasn't a lot of environmental chaos, there wasn't divorce back when most of these studies were going on, right? And so we thought we knew what it took. And Susan, Dr. Woodhouse's work has shown us that it's more simple than that. You can have all of the stressors and all of the worries and all of the problems that most people from the outside would say something, the family's not going to be good, and still have a good family. So she's really trying to understand what those processes are, and then from there, build on those strengths to maintain that positive relationship that starts in infancy and can continue on.
And that's called the CARE program?
That's the CARE project, yes.
CARE project.
That's the CARE project.
Okay.
Do you want to talk a little bit about BASIC?
Yeah, we have the BASIC project, which is Dr. Martha Wadsworth is running that. And actually, she did a pilot program this summer through the school district, and she did a girls program, and she worked at another one of the schools within the Harrisburg School District. And what it is, building self-esteem and coping skills. And it was really, it was great. It was well received. Trying to help adolescents going through different things and making better choices, how to, positively make better choices, the things that you do, who you're with, and just because you've made a bad choice before doesn't mean that you can't turn it around. So it was really well received, and she's going to be doing that again this fall.
Because ultimately I know when a person makes a bad choice, if it's not handled right, their self-esteem is affected,
That's
their
correct.
relationships are affected,
Yes.
and they can't let it go, or another person can't let it go. It can be a spiraling down, So that's real good. I think the word is resilience.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Being able to bounce
Definitely.
back,
Exactly.
and figure
And
it out,
a lot of our projects, one of the things that the Community Advisory Board has helped most of the investigators with is adding components or shaping the project so it's strength-based rather than deficit-based. Psychology has a reputation for being deficit-based. We want to understand what goes wrong. I mean, the ultimate goal is so we can help and make things better, but it does have a deficit sort of focus. And so we want to turn that on its ear and build on the strengths, understand what the problems are only to make things better.
That's a very important point. I know we have a very strong, what is it called, Dauphin County Systems of Care.
Yes.
They use the strength-based
Exactly.
everything that they do. Helen Spence and others who do a great job. That's something we all have to keep in mind,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We just, because you do see the negative and you want to fix the negative,
Right.
but you dwell so much on the negative that
Exactly.
you tend to make...
You forget about the positive.
You really
And
do.
I think that's what the youth really need.
Yeah.
They need to know about the positive, that you care. And I think that really what makes a lot of our programs work is a lot of times people think of just adults. Like myself and Kristin, but it's not. We bring young people that are in maybe the doctoral program or getting their master's, and they're there and they're young and they're like, oh, this is fun. They really care, because I know when we came back for a closing ceremony at MLK Center And Emil, one of the student teachers that helped out, was there, and the girls were like, "Oh, you came back to see us." You know, he came to the program. I was there, and that matters. And they care. You know, they're doing it because this is part of what they do for their work, but they genuinely care. And I think, you know this too, Nate. Kids can snuff it out. When I was with the school district, they know someone's sincere. They know when you're sincere, and if you're a fake.
That's true, too. Yeah, very true. Yeah. So you mentioned a number of programs here. I see the FANCY program, and also tell us a bit about that.
Okay, FANCY program is study was by Dr. Dawn Witherspoon, and Dawn's work is really interested in context, families in what she calls context, really neighborhoods and communities. Again, prior to her work, or the bulk of the work on community-based programs has been on sort of evaluating the neighborhood based on census tract. So here's a census tract, here's the number of people who live in poverty, here's the crime statistics, here's this. Therefore, here are the outcomes that you're going to expect, right? But her work looks at things like neighborhood connectedness and showing again that how you feel, how you relate, what are the resources, how you are a part of your community is really what makes a difference. So again, much like the CARE project, you can be in a neighborhood that has these statistics that say your outcomes are going to be poor and still do really well. And so what she's showing is that it's about your connectedness really to others through your community that makes a big difference. And again, that strength can then translate to positive outcomes for kids, and that's what her work has showed.
Fantastic.
And she did that work here in the Harrisburg community. She was in Allison Hill. She was in the south side part of Harrisburg. She was in Stilton. She did she did something through LHAC with the Latino. She did that. She did that. So we were all over. So we did different pockets within the community. So we try not to miss anything. And I think it proved really well. And now she's doing something.
She's writing a new grant with Myra Bamica, who's also a professor at Penn State, on immigrant Latino families, and trying to understand again how you come into a new community and sort of negotiate all of that.
Wow, powerful stuff. You know, I'm not sure if most of the community knows that this kind of work is going on.
Right.
And so we always talk about nothing's happening, you know.
Right.
But this is powerful stuff. And so I'm so glad you came on to talk about it, because the community needs to embrace it. How can the community more embrace the work that you're doing?
Great. Well, we're always open to having more members of the Community Advisory Board.
Yes, and you can always, we're located right there on North Front Street next to the Governor's Mansion. You can give us a call, 717-232-2092, or you can reach us at PACT at psu.edu. And I'm Carmen, I'm always available. And if you see me out and about in the community, by all means stop, because we definitely so we're always in. We don't want to forget. We know we also have the attention related study that's doing. It's really and it starts to back up in the fall. You might want to speak a little bit more about that.
Yeah, let me talk about that. And then I was going to say, so in addition to the Community Advisory Board, you can participate in the research. One of the projects that Carmen just mentioned, the Child Attention and Learning Project. Dr. Huang Pollock has been running this project now. This is the 4th year.
I believe so.
And it's a study about how kids learn and attend. And it is a study for people who, for children who may or may not have ADHD, right? So you don't have to have ADHD to be in the study, but there's a long screening process. And she's really trying to understand what are really the underlying factors that account for the attention problems. And we've heard a lot. We've had a lot of conversations with people in the community about ADHD and how it's used as sort of a blanket diagnosis when kids are disruptive and things like that, and it's probably somewhat overdiagnosed. And her work is trying to cut through that and really understand what the processes are. So again, by contacting the PACT office, if you're interested in a project like that, you can get involved in that as well.
There's so much going on. You know, the Harrisburg administration has embarked on a lead poisoning project. Yes. And they're talking about how the effects of lead poisoning in children shows up in so many different ways, from violence to like the ADD, kind of things. Is there any cross, you know, cross workings between your kind of work and the kind of work that they're trying to do and all this stuff? And did you ever have a coming together where you just have all of these things thrown out so that parents can understand there's so many different, you know, ways that our kids can be affected, that we can be affected. And we need to be aware of all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know.
Well, we do a lot of outreach and give back, so we could.
And we're always opening to different partnerships if it'll work.
Yeah.
You know, within what we're doing, we're definitely open to partnerships and talking with people and seeing how things work. That's what we do with the community. That's what it's all about: is giving back, seeing how we can work together to help.
I think that's so critical. That's why I mentioned December the 6th, the Kwanzaa program, because this year our entire focus will be on health and, you know, healthy living.
That's good.
And so we're going to look at everything and all, and you have to be there.
Yeah, we will.
And then, of course, you know, we're hoping to have, you know, the physical with Pinnacle Health.
Yes.
The spiritual, you know, all of that.
It all matters.
All that
it all connects.
Yes,
It all
indeed.
matters.
So, because it's time to make impact. I mean, it's good to get up and do the African dance and all. We'll do all that too, you know. But we got to start doing some stuff that's going to make a difference. So, you know.
And I agree. And I've noticed some of the events that I've attended this year and going forward in the fall. Everyone seems they're making more of a push towards, you know, mental wellness and healthy wellness, which is a concern. And it's good that, you know, that some, you know, light has been given to that, because it is health and wellness is a big deal.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and we hope that by doing some of the research, we break down any barriers that there might be to thinking about mental health.
Yes.
Right, because most of our projects are focused around mental health rather than physical health, but the connection is really strong.
Really strong.
And just to be able to talk about
Sure.
mental health is important.
Absolutely. Now, when you do research, let's say a person who's watching now says, "Okay, I'm interested." Do they get paid to do this? I mean, you know, is there a what do you call it? I know it's not
Incentive?
Incentive.
Yes,
That's the word. So talk about that process.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
actually, for most projects, if not every single one, it sort of there will be an incentive to participate. And it depends on what you're asked to do. If you're just asked to fill out surveys, it might be about $20 or so, and it depends on how many visits. You know, it depends on the project, but yeah, there's a small incentive. It's not a lot because we don't want to be coercive, right? So our human subjects protections require us to be kind of conservative on how we give incentives. Sure. The other thing that's provided, though, is transportation. So most of the projects will provide
And childcare.
Most of
the time we'll do that as well.
Right, and if we do things like focus groups, or like the Fancy Project is a good example of this, where there'd be a meal, childcare, and then you're participating in the study.
Okay.
You know, so there are ways for us to make it easier on people to participate.
Okay, and do you have to have a certain educational background or anything like that?
No.
No, so just it's open to everybody.
It is
right?
open to everybody.
Okay,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What are some of the reasons why people give? You mentioned some already, but other reasons that people might give to say, well, you know, they may be afraid. That's one.
Sure.
Childcare, big. You know, transportation, big.
Yeah.
But I would imagine there's some other things that probably pop up in their minds. What else is coming up that we want to dispel right now? You know?
I can tell you some of the things to dispel, like working with the CARE project, and all these projects. When you may give some compensation or small. Well, how will this affect me if I receive anything? You know, will that affect me? And you know, that's not a major concern because we're not here. It's not like a money-making venture, so that's not a major concern. Or when you're doing things, who's going to get this? Everything that we do is confidential.
Yes.
Right.
Everything is confidential. Everything is kept right there, and we're done with the project. All the documents are shredded. They're done. When we're done with it, we're finished. You know, once they do that, so no one is privy to any information that you give us. And then, and when you talk about child care, all of our people in child care have all their clearances. Everything is done. Criminal abuse, all that is done, and we use reputable transportation. So all that. So those myths can be, you know, just dismissed. None of that.
I think the big deal. I think the biggest issue is confidentiality.
Yes,
right?
I do too.
And everything, you know, everyone gives informed consent, right? Which basically means you're told everything that's going to happen. You can agree to it at one point and change your mind at another point.
Exactly.
And that's really important to remember. And we never use people's names in the research. Everything is what we call de-identified, which really is just a fancy way of saying I would take Nate's data, the questionnaires you fill out, and you get some random number
Exactly.
associated with that. And the only thing I would know about you is if it was important to my study, if you're male, your age, where you're from, and what information, how many children, whatever is important to the study. So on questionnaires, that's very easy. The one other tricky thing is some of our studies, like CARE, for example, video tapes, the moms and the babies together in the lab. Again, those are kept as confidential as possible. Obviously, you can identify who's in the video. So those have different levels of security that we use to keep those confidential. Occasionally, currently we don't have any of these projects, but occasionally there may be a project that asks about child abuse. You're actually asking the parents if they engage in that. If that's the case, there are limits, since we are mandated reporters.
Absolutely.
There are limits to what we can keep confidential, but again, the participants know up front.
They know up front.
Currently, none of those studies are going on where we're asking for that confidential information. And then the sort of highest level of confidentiality for some studies would be a certificate of confidentiality, where the granting agency requires us to have that, which is a more formal way of saying everything's confidential that you tell us.
Yeah, good stuff. And I'm so glad you mentioned all of that, because I noticed somebody sitting there thinking, if I give out my information,
it
it's going to
be
go
used?
here,
Exactly.
go there,
Right.
And sometimes, no matter how many times you say it, it's still,
Yes, it falls on deaf
exactly.
ears.
And we understand that people want to keep stuff private, and we understand that. The one thing we say in response to that is, if you're participating in research is good both for you and your family, because you might learn something about.
Exactly.
We mentioned earlier that my family participated in Strengthening Families program, and it was really good for our family, but it was also in the context of a research study, and I realized then that our data, our information, was able to contribute to the larger science to make things better for other families. And that's really what we're all about.
And I think that's really important. A lot of people don't think about that. They think, oh, research, but you give back and you learn from that, and that's information which in turn can make you better. And we almost forgot about TAP, thinking about positives. Where yourself,
brand new project.
Yes, Dr. Dennis is working with Kristin Buss, Dr. Buss, and she developed this gaming. And you know how kids are all into the gaming. She developed this app for a game.
For a game, right. So this is a project that's just going to be starting.
Yes.
Carmen's going to be directing this project, thinking about positives, and it's sort of a stress reduction in adolescence program. So Dr. Dennis developed an app for an iPhone, or an iPod, where you play this relaxation game that's based on a paradigm that's used in psychology to reduce anxiety symptoms. And we're testing to see whether it reduces just everyday stress and hassles, and maybe some anxiety symptoms in youth. Regardless of sort of their exposure to stress. And we want to see if it makes a difference, and then hear from the youth after. Was it fun? What did you like about it? Would you use this? So that would be another project you can email or call Carmen about.
Because we all know technology is a big it's it's here to stay. You need to embrace it and see how you can make it work.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah,
because we know also that just urban life, I'm not even say urban anymore.
Just life in general.
Urban, whatever, life in general, it can be so stressful.
Yes.
We're moving at an incredible pace, aren't we?
Yes.
Everything's changing all the time.
Yes.
And to be a young person these days and to be exposed to so much, to walk around with the world
all the
in their
time.
hands.
All the time.
All the time, So wow. But you're doing such great work, and now I was sitting there thinking about, Carmen and I went through, what's it again, Circle of Security? Keep reminding me. It was excellent training.
Yes, it was excellent training. Yes, it was. Excellent.
And, you think about bringing that to Harrisburg and this and that.
Yes.
But it made me think of Dr., what's her name? Camelia Mananu up at HAC. And the work she's doing, she's the one that brought that to the Harrisburg area. And she has something called Impact. And she's taking young people and teaching them how to become leaders.
Oh, that's
and I was thinking about how
that's
they really need to, you guys need to interface.
Yeah, we
somehow.
do.
So we're going to talk about how to get you all to
That's
connect.
absolutely. That's what
Great work
No, it's
going
definitely
on.
important.
Yeah, so anyhow, that's what we do, right? We connect. I'm with United Way to Capital Region. We connect.
We network.
Network and everything. So again, now, if people wanted to contact you, how do they get in touch with you?
They can contact me. I'm Carmen Henry Harris, and we're PACT, Parents and Children Together. You can reach us at pact@psu.edu, or our number is 717-232-2092.
Okay.
And you mentioned
okay, fantastic. You mentioned an advisory board as well. Is it
yes. The advisory
Yes.
board, they can contact me either via email or by the telephone. We would welcome it. We're always looking for community members that are interested in participating. We, meet bi-monthly. Every other month, and it's usually the fourth Monday of the month.
Okay.
And it's a dinner meeting, and we try to keep it about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay.
But it's very interesting, and we're always sometimes looking for new members.
New members, fantastic.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, and I know people are busy, but guess what? Someone's not busy. They need to be on that board.
That's what you get.
Right.
Nature, get busy people.
Get busy people.
You get busy people to do
and that's
things.
what comes out, isn't
Yes.
it?
Right.
It
Yes.
really do. But really, truly, and you do see like sometimes the same faces, and that's
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But there's so many other people that could step up to the plate who really could, And let's encourage them to come out and take a chance.
This is their
Absolutely.
chance. This is their chance.
Yeah, there's a chance to get
Please.
involved. Absolutely, absolutely. So we're down to just a few more minutes, and I know we mentioned a lot of stuff here. But if you had to leave the audience with just one major thought of the kind of work that you're doing and why they should get involved, what would you say, both of you?
What I would say is that the research is only as good, and so the outcomes of our research, what we learn from research is only as good as the people who participate in the work. I mentioned earlier the bias that has existed in the developmental psychology literature up to this point, and understanding how families, different types of families, different types of children, different types of parents, with different and similar situations, how they develop. That's only going to make the research better and make what we do with that information better.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Carmen, how do you get them out?
I would definitely say to be a part, to participate. Don't be afraid. It's time to embrace. Where things are changing, embrace change, and to be a part of that, you have to participate and not worry about, oh, this is how it was. It's a new day. It's different things going on.
Absolutely.
And do it and to be part of that.
That's right. And don't be
Something
afraid
good.
of the research. Don't be
Right.
afraid of being,
Because exactly,
Yeah.
because what it is, it's not what you think. It's like it's give and take. It's information, and then on the other end, you get the information back to how to be maybe a better parent or how not to be anxiety of all these things.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. And one final note, Pat, my wife, who's not here this time, and she'll be back in a future program. She runs what's called Celebrating Families and Strengthening Family Programs, and those are free programs to the community. And we hope to interface with you more. I mean, I love the work that you're doing. We've just always been so busy and trying to just do this. But those programs are starting later in September here, and we will make sure that you get the information. You can give Pat a call at area code 717-608-2302. That's 717-608-2302, and sign your family up for either Strengthening Families or Celebrating Family programs, okay? Hey, let's support the PACT program. It's Parents and Children's Together, as it should be, and we're all one community. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And we know that you're going to support this program and get involved, and whatever you can do to make the community better, do it. Hey, I'm Nate Gaston. See you next time here on Life Esteem. Thank you.